Hello, everyone. It is Saturday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. I am at the Marriott Theater in Lincolnshire, Illinois. The kind of place that someone like me would call Chicagoland. And people from Chicago would beat me up for saying that. And I'm very early. The show starts at 4. It is 2:41. But this is the furthest I've traveled so far for this project in terms of time and miles. And so I just wanted to give myself lots of leeway in case anything went wrong. I wasn't sure. I tried to choose a route, that avoided tolls. That's the kind of Midwesterner I am. I'll spend a bunch of money on a ticket for a show and gas to get there, but I don't want to pay $4 for a toll, $2 each way. So I tried to pick a route that avoided the city. But, with road construction and who knows what else, I tried to give myself plenty of time. Also, I don't have a ticket. I have like a voucher. Because there was a promo that I saw for this show. At the time that I saw the promo, the tickets for the days I was looking at least, were starting at like $90 and going up from there. And the promo that I saw was to get a ticket for $30. And I thought it might be too good to be true, so I called the box office and they said that it was legit. But I don't know where my seat is. I didn't get to choose my seat. But this is a theater in the round setup. So there shouldn't be any like bad seats. There shouldn't be anything super far away. I just might be in the middle, which is unfortunate. I prefer to be on an edge so I have elbow room and leg room. And I prefer to not have people behind me. Sometimes that means the back. Sometimes that means in front of something else. I don't know. But I have no idea where my seat is. So I want to get in there as early as I can so that I can get to it and find it and get settled before too many other people show up. But when I started this whole project, I told myself I was going to avoid Chicago theaters, and this would be included in that. But I made an exception for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've been here before. It's 2026. I was here in 2012. So 14 years ago, I was here to see a show called Hero, which I loved. One of my favorite shows I've ever seen. I really wish it had gotten picked up and become more popular. As far as I know, that's the only production it's ever had. And it was like about superheroes, but like not a superhero story. It was about like a comic book artist. And so there were references to superheroes, but it's not like there were any superpowers in the show. But I loved it. And it was a musical, and the music was awesome. And the girl that I was dating at the time, who's the reason that I knew about it, she knew someone either that wrote the music or performed the music, so she was able to get me a copy, a CD of the music, which wasn't officially for sale. But she got me a copy, and I listened to that thing all the time, and then I lent it to someone and never got it back. And that's like, now it's gone. Now that show is gone forever to me. But I've been here before, so I know how the setup is. So that helped. And the fact that it's not in Chicago proper, so I don't have to do any real city driving. Although I experienced a type of intersection that I've never experienced before, specifically the lights. It was like a red light with a green arrow diagonal. I don't know which way the camera is, but to me it was diagonal and to the right. I've never seen that before, and I got freaked out, and I stopped at the light, but I'm like, am I supposed to be going? And then someone drove past me, so I was like, okay, I'm going to follow him. So if I got caught on camera blowing red light, I did not intend to. I did what I thought I was supposed to do in the moment. So the fact that I've been here before, the fact that it's not Chicago proper, the fact that I got such a cheap ticket with fees and taxes and everything else, it was $36, which is the most expensive show I've seen so far this year. That will immediately be untrue tomorrow. by a lot. But as of now, I think the next most expensive one was 25, and this one is 36. So 13 shows and 36 is the most expensive ticket. And that's pretty good so far. But also, I just really like Little Shop of Horrors, the movie. I've never seen the show before. So I'm kind of, I guess, going on faith that the show will be as enjoyable as the movie, but I feel like it probably will be. It'll be cool to see the Audrey 2. But I'm sure there will be things left out of the movie or things that were added in the movie that aren't in the show, and I'll be like, oh, but then I can just go watch the movie. So for those reasons, I made an exception. I don't plan on driving this far very often, but it's a 3-day weekend also, so get some extra time in the weekend to catch up on everything. But I'm gonna see if I can go inside. Like, the box office won't open for another 45 minutes, but let's see if I can maybe find a bathroom or something and get everything all settled before I can get my ticket. And if not, then I'll come back here. But it's I was kind of laughing. It's not even 3 o'clock yet, and I don't know how long the show is, but I probably won't be home until at least 9, maybe 10 o'clock. Like, this is a long day because of how far away this is, but hopefully the show is good. There are other people here, so I'm not the only one that's here really early, although some of them might be involved in some way or another, but there are other people here, so I'm going to get off my phone and figure out what I'm going to do next. Oh my goodness, you guys. Little Shop of Horrors was incredible. It was so fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong. I have enjoyed the vast majority of the shows I've seen so far this year. But this is next level. And you know, I enjoy seeing the smaller productions and seeing what they can do, how their creativity can overcome limited resources and limitations of space and venue. But man, there was something to be said about taking people, letting them do what they do best. Not what they do pretty okay or pretty well. Not what they do as a hobby. What they do best. And just letting them go. My goodness, that was an amazing show. I mean, some people will say that a 9-hour day for a 2-hour show is unthinkable. I drove more one direction than the entire length of the show and then had to drive it back again. Ow! Oh, cat! Clawed me! Ow! I left my house at noon and got back at 9 p.m. Obviously not something I'm going to do on a regular basis, but I was hoping that this show, which I didn't know anything about the show, I've just seen the movie. I liked the movie. I was hoping it would be worth it. My goodness, I'm so glad that I went to see this. This was incredible. This is the kind of thing that someone, if they've never, not everyone, but the kind of person, they've never seen a show before or a musical, and they go to see something like this and just something scratches their brain the right way and they're like, oh my gosh. I don't even know. I do have a couple constructive criticisms and some nitpicks, mostly about the venue, but I don't know where to start. The cast was incredible. They were amazing singers. The sound was great. No issues with microphones, and even when the orchestra, whatever you want to call it, It was only a few players. Even when they got very loud and the voices got very loud, there was no clipping or distortion or anything like that. Everything sounded fantastic. I was tearing up in Somewhere That's Green, if that's the name of the song, because she did such a, I mean, it's a sad song, but she did such a good job with the emotion of it. And then suddenly Seymour, my goodness, if standing ovations were used how they're supposed to be used and not the way that everyone uses them, which is just that people just stand up at the end of anything because they want to, I don't know, be nice. That's not what standing ovations are supposed to be for. They're supposed to be for moments of exceeding talent. If that's if standing ovations were used how they were supposed, I wanted to stand up at the end of that song and clap so badly, but I knew that other people wouldn't, and that I would be considered a disruption to the show. But that's what standing ovations are supposed to be for. You stand up and you clap, even if it delays the show, to show those actors, those performers, you did an amazing job, and we need to take a couple minutes here and acknowledge that before we move on. Oh my gosh, I had like the goosiest of goosebumps in that song. It was amazing. No one in the cast was bad or even just okay. I will say the guy that played the dentist, forget his name, Warren, I want to say. He's the most different from the movie. He's the least like, you know, he's less similar to Steve Martin than any of the other actors were to their actors in the movie. Not in a bad or negative way at all. He played the part very well, but just from that lens of similarity to the movie, he was the furthest away, but not that it was far away, just more than anyone else. Um, Huge props. I don't know if it was the actress's decision or the director or someone else, but characters like Audrey, who are supposed to have an annoying voice, sometimes it's too much, and it's like, okay, I find this character annoying, right? I don't want to do that. She towed that line perfectly in this. The voice wasn't, you know, exactly the same as the movie. She kind of did her own spin on. It was more of a nasally thing than an airy thing, which for me is easier to listen to. But you know, just like in the movie, she had little moments where her real voice came out, especially in the songs. But I was never, like, you could tell it was supposed to be kind of an annoying voice, but I was never overly annoyed by it, which is a hard line to straddle. Is that the word I'm looking for? It's a hard thing to balance, I think, at least for me. But I thought she did great. Seymour was great. Mr. Mushnick was great. The Audrey too, the puppets. Oh, I'm so glad I got to see this as a theater in the round, because I would assume, I don't know, but I would assume if you were to see this on a normal stage, where the stage is there and the audience is here, I would assume that Audrey 2 would mostly be kind of built into the sets, built into the background. I have a recording of the Shrek musical, and that's kind of how the dragon works in that. It's just kind of part of the background. And I'm sure that it can be cool and impressive in its own right. But seeing that thing move around on the stage and chasing the different characters, it was so cool. It was so cool. And you know, it's kind of one of those things where I feel like I kind of understand how most of it worked, but like I didn't want to necessarily know exactly how everything worked. And there are times where it eats people, and you're like, okay, yeah, I see how they did that. And then there are other times where you're like, well, I think I know how they did that, but I'm not totally sure. And you know, you see this thing eat people. It was awesome. The puppeteers are really great. The voice of Audrey 2 was perfect. He was also the announcer. He did all the announcements at the beginning of the show and the intermission and like semi in character, which was really fun. Um, if I were going to nitpick, no, even before I get there, I don't know what they're called in the show. The Greek chorus, I think that's the trope. Um, the backup singers or whatever. They were fantastic. And one of them is from Peoria, which is where I'm from. Like, I've never lived in Peoria proper, but the towns that I grew up in depended on Peoria. That was when we went to town, we went to Peoria. And I had seen in the program that it said that she was from Peoria. I was like, oh, that's cool. But at the end of the show, which the ending is different than the movie, I'm very almost positive. I haven't watched the movie in a while. I don't remember the ending super clearly, but I'm pretty sure the ending of the show is different than the ending of the movie. I'll circle back to that. But the plants are the seedlings or whatever are spreading throughout the country, and I think what happened was that each of the three girls in the again, I'm going to call it the Greek chorus. If that's not the right term, I apologize. Blame Hercules. I think that's what it's called though. I think they all, as part of the song, they were saying where these plants were, you know, spreading to cause havoc, and I think they all said their hometown. One of them, the program said was from Chicago, which the theater is in Chicago. So I'm pretty sure she said Chicago. I didn't hear what the second one said, but then the last one said Peoria, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like where I'm from, and it's name dropped in this show. So like that's a really cool touch, a really cool way to personalize the performance. Um, but if I'm gonna nitpick and find a couple areas of that would have potentially improved it for me. Not that things were bad, but like ways that it could have been better. The first thing is, even with the 15-minute intermission, the whole thing was only 2 hours. I would have expected it to be at least 2.5, if not 3. And again, my drive was more than 2.5 hours one way. And if I had paid full price for a ticket and it was only 2 hours, I feel like I may have been disappointed with that. It didn't feel short, but those are not cheap tickets. Luckily, mine was pretty cheap, so like it didn't ruin the experience for me. But that was surprising to me how short it was. Not, again, I didn't notice in the moment, but as I was walking out, and I was like, it's only been 2 hours. That said, one of the things missing, or maybe not missing, but one of the things that's in the movie that's not in the show is the Bill Murray character who enjoys the pain at the dentist office. And that's just one of those things that it's a funny character. It's a weird but funny scene. And I don't know of any reason that it's not in the show. Almost everything takes place, in this production at least, because again, it's theater in the round. Almost everything took place inside the flower shop. There were some aisles between the stage and the chairs that were like the streets of Skid Row that the actors would walk through, but the stage was the flower shop, except for just one scene in the dentist office when the dentist dies. And they didn't like bring out new pieces, but they kind of rearranged the set pieces that were on the stage. They covered things in sheets to make it look more like a medical office. And so if you're gonna go ahead and make that scene, make that setting, why not have one more actor to be that character? And then that would have added a little bit more time. Not a lot. It's not like it was a super long scene, but I don't know. Not that it felt like it needed it, but it's just something that I noticed. Um, I think that's really all I got in terms of nitpicks of the show itself. Um, One other thing about the presentation, I noticed before the show. So it's, theater in the round, so a square stage and people are seated all around. And then there's this whole big rig up above where they've got the lights and they've got like show lights and then like prop lights and a ceiling fan and like all this different things, and they got windows with LED strips lighting them different colors all around the side. And up along the top, and it was hard to see them because it was like above where the lights were, so it was very dark. There were these boxes, for lack of a better word, and I could see greenery poking out of the top of them. And I'm like, I can't tell if those are part of the show or if that's just part of the structure of the, and I don't know what would be in there. But as I kept looking at it, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like gonna be an Audrey 2 thing, and they're gonna come down and like envelop the flower shop during the show. And they never did that, but when the show was over, I look up and they have been drawn over the audience on all four sides. Multiple strands of vines have been pulled over the audience, and I didn't see it happen. I don't know when it happened. Because it didn't catch my eye. They're above our heads. There's only like 8 rows, so it's not like you're super far back from the stage. I was in the 5th row, I think. And I was just like, even if you can't see the stuff above you, you can see the 3 other sides, and I didn't notice it there either. So I don't know if they could have somehow used the lights to draw more attention to it, or maybe they didn't want to draw attention to it. Maybe people weren't supposed to notice it when it happened, and maybe it was supposed to be a thing that the show is over and the lights come up and people get up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's come out to get us," I don't know. But I feel like I would have appreciated seeing it happen, and I regret that I didn't. So I wish that would have been a little bit more of a focal point. But that's a very small nitpick in the overall experience. I do have a couple nitpicks about the venue itself. Multiple people, the people behind me, and the people in front of me, and the people next to me, all complained about the skimpy program. This is all there is. It's got the actors' names, but not the roles that they're playing on one side. And then it's got their photos, and on this side it says who they're playing. And then the orchestra members. And then the back is other staff members. There's no list of scenes. There's no list of songs. There's no biographies. And people around me started realizing that you had to You have to scan the QR code to get the full program. Scan below to view the program with full biographies. And so that's where it had the information on each one and what other shows they've done, and that's where I saw that girl was from Peoria. That's lame, Marriott. Give us the full program. What are you doing? Every small town theater I've been to this year has had a full program. If they can do it, you can do it. You've got the money. Give us the full thing. That's lame. There was also this insert where they're asking you to subscribe to get season tickets. Give us the full program. What are you doing? As I've mentioned, maybe I haven't mentioned it on here. My ticket for this show, I bought through a third party company that was offering a promotion. So even though I think I mentioned this in the starting clip, but at the time I bought my ticket, if I had bought them from the Marriott website, they were starting at $90. I got mine for 30 plus fees was 36, but I didn't get to choose my seat. So I went to the box office and they had a little envelope with my name and my ticket inside. And again, this is a little thing. Not going to focus on it too much. And obviously, there are a million factors that could go into it. But the lady at the box office, what's the last name? Is that the vibe you want to give to people that are coming and spending money to come see your show? Again, every small town theater that I've gone to has had friendly people with smiling faces that are asking me if I need anything, asking if I need help, making me feel good to be there. And this lady in the box office just looked like she was the most annoyed she has ever been. So, again, maybe there were other things going on. Maybe she was having a bad day. But that, people notice that kind of stuff. And then second to last nitpick. This is my last nitpick. Second to last nitpick. The Marriott, that building, that facility, is beautiful and huge for a theater in the round style theater. The lobby of that theater is bigger than multiple venues that I've been to. Like, there are places that I've been to where the stage and the backstage and the audience seats and the lobby and the concessions and everything would fit into just the lobby of this place. But you have to walk like a mile to get to the bathrooms. And the signage to get there is not very clear or helpful. At least put up. I get you can't just move where the bathrooms are, fine. But, like, put up some decent signs, Marriott. There were multiple other people that I saw also looking for them and also confused because we couldn't find them. Get it together, man. Now, this last one, I will admit, is probably unique to me. And this is one of those things that I can't fully explain. Here's my ticket. Hopefully, there's no revealing information on here. But you may notice I still have the full ticket. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I got upset when I went to see Annie and they handed me a fancy ticket and then took the whole thing and I had nothing back. But what this has unlocked in my brain is that I also don't like, with a ticket like this that has perforations and clear sections, take part of it. This is too pristine. This is begging to be pulled in half and part of it lost and gone forever, and I'm left with the remnant of the memory of the ticket. This is such a weird thing. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but they just had scanners. And, like, I get that for digital tickets. And, like, multiple of the shows I've gone to this year, I printed out the ticket. They didn't tear that in half, obviously, but, like, I don't know, something about if you've got a ticket like this, and I'm picking up the physical ticket, and there are ticket takers there, take part of the ticket, not the whole ticket, just take part of the ticket. I know that's a very strange thing for me to be upset about. I have a few things like that I can't explain, but, like, one of them, and if you're younger than me, then you might not even know what I'm talking about. But it used to be fairly common at gas stations for the pump to be set up. I don't know the terminology, but you would take the pump out of the thing, of the island, and you would have to lift the little part that it sat in. You would have to lift it in order for it to be activated. I don't know what that thing is called. I don't know why you had to lift it. But that's pretty outdated. And most pumps, you don't have to lift anymore. You just push the button. And for some reason, I love the ones that you lift. I don't know why. It's just a weird. I don't even know if it's nostalgia because it's not like I have particular memories of that that's positive. I just, for some reason, I just like that little action, that little, like, yes, I am starting to pump my gas now. I don't know why. But the town that I live in had one of those up until a few years ago. I don't know exactly when they replaced them, but they've been updated. And the town that I work in had them up until a couple weeks ago. And like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they updated their pumps and haven't been there since. But I'm assuming they're not there anymore. And now I don't know. I don't know any place that still has those little. You lift them up, and it's such a weird thing to care about at all. Let alone be kind of sad about it. I don't know why I like it. It doesn't enhance the process at all. I just something about it I enjoyed. And now it's gone, and I don't know where to find one. And it's not like I'm going to seek one out. It doesn't matter. I have rewards with a certain line of gas stations, so those are the ones that I go to. These were just ones that if I was really low and I needed some really fast or filling up a gas can for my generator or whatever, like I would go to these smaller ones. And I was just like, ooh, that's cool. People don't have those anymore. And now they're gone. And this is the same thing. I don't know why I wanted them to take this part. It doesn't matter. It's arguably better to have the whole thing as a memento. But like to me, it's like that's what the program is for. This is what you're supposed to. You're supposed to have the whole thing of this. And they didn't give me the whole thing of this, but they didn't. They gave me the whole thing of this, and I didn't want them to. I wanted them to. I'm a strange man, full of complicated feelings and emotions and opinions. And sometimes I'm hypocritical. And I can't explain why I feel so strongly about this. I'll be curious if in a week or a month or a year, when I think back on this show, hopefully I will remember how much I loved it. Will I remember the ticket? Probably not. But I'm the right kind of weirdo where I might. But I think that's all I have to say. This show was really good. I wish I could go see it again. I want to say just to look for the vines coming out, but like everything was so good. It was so good. Tomorrow I'm going to see Les Mis in Peoria at the Peoria Civic Center. Shout out Peoria. What's her name? Darren Whitney Harrell, I think that's the one. This will be the third show in Peoria that I've seen this year. It was exciting to have Peoria name dropped in the show. But I'm going to see Les Mis at the Civic Center, and I assume that will also be very impressive. I don't particularly care for the story of Les Mis based on watching the movie one time. Hopefully I will enjoy the show better. So I don't know if that's going to take my attention away from this and have me gushing over that instead. But for now, in this moment, this was such a good experience. And like, so much of it was so good. Like the level of quality of everything was so good that it makes me want to go back to this venue. But it's so far away and it's so expensive that I don't want to do it just for any show. And like, you know, they've got stuff coming up. Like, they've got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory going on. But there's a place near me that's doing that. A community theater. So, like, it won't be as fancy, but, like, there's a place doing that. They're doing Frozen, but there's, like, 8 places around me doing Frozen this year. They're doing SpongeBob, but there's a couple other places doing SpongeBob this year. They're doing Come From Away, and I don't even know what that is, but I know that at least one other theater around me is doing that this year. So like, there's nothing else really that's sticking out that makes me want to get there to see it. So I guess this might be a place that it'll be nice to go to once a year or so if I stick with this. If I stick with this going to shows thing that I'm focused on right now, but my focus doesn't last very long. I get distracted and I move on to something else. So I don't know how long I'll stick with this, but man, I'm glad I got to this. I'm rambling now. I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.